Hello, welcome everyone to the next lecture of data analytics using Excel. I am Dhruv. I will be a tutor for the day. In this lecture, we will be working our way with Anova. We will be using a data analysis tool pack for the same. We will not be doing the statistical method where we are calculating each and everything by ourselves. We'll just see what Anova is all about, why do we use Anova and when do we use Anova, and most importantly, how to interpret the results that Excel is going to give it to us. We're going to use the same case study as we used in the last 3 lectures, and it's the 4th lecture in the same tool pack. Let's just dive into it directly now. So as you can see see my screen now, the first thing we'll actually do is to go to our Word doc so that we can see what Anova is all about. Okay, why are we using this test? First one is Anova test if there are statistically significant differences between the means of 3 or more groups. It helps determine whether different groups or categories have different effects on a variable, right? So this is pretty clear now that we need to check the difference of means between different groups, right? So it can be, let's say, marks in class A, marks in class B, marks in class C, and if we have to see if there is any statistical difference between the average of marks that students have obtained in each class, then we have to run Anova. We'll be able to get the differences then. Although because we are using the same, let's say, case study, I will just tell you how to use Anova, how to implement it, how we can get, interpret the results, and later let's see how we can work around with the same. Before we actually start with working around and running Anova tests, there are 3 types of Anova and we need to know when to use what. First one is single factor Anova, one-way Anova. This is when you want to test if there is significant difference between the means of more than 2 groups based on one independent variable or factor. This is the same that I actually told you before. This is also given in a particular example. So comparing test scores of students from 3 different teaching methods to see if teaching methods significantly impact score. Again, section A, B, C example. If we have to go with that, we need to work with one-way Anova. Why is that? Independent variable will be our marks. Independent variable will be the teaching styles, and dependent variable will be marks, right? So that's one thing. And then we have 2-factor Anova. Again, before this we had like 1 teaching factor. Let's see what will happen if you're going to provide them more materials or whatever, and what not. So let's see the example first, and then let's go ahead and read the when to use example. Analyzing the effect of a diet and exercise program on weight loss. So on weight loss is our dependent variable, effect of diet and exercise program. There are 2 factors involved now. When each participant follows a unique combination of diet and exercise, right? So there's a separate let's say plan for each and every individual who's maybe a part of the gym or whatever, right? And that's where we're going to use 2-factor Anova. The second thing which we might want to work on is 2-factor Anova with replication, right? It's just like how we had our 2-factor Anova without replication, but now it won't be unique. So let's go through the example, this one as well. Studying the effect of fertilizer type, this one thing, and watering frequency on plant growth. The dependent variable is this one, and these 2 are the independent variable, where multiple plants are tested for each combination of fertilizer and watering frequency. So this is how we can actually go around with the same, because if let's say we're going to give the same inputs to, let's say, a lot of plants, then we are going to use 2-factor Anova with replication. For this test, what we really want to work on is see if there's a statistical difference between median house values and median income. So let's try to run it now. Let's see if there's any other information which we are missing. Interpretation will be based on our F statistics and p-value. All the p-value is all we are looking for majorly, and this is how we are going to run it, and where we'll find it is in Excel tool pack. So let's just go to data analysis. I have to go to the single factor for this one. Click on OK. I have input range, right? And you can see actually have to select both, and then going to go to Control Shift down arrow, and then this is grouped by columns. I have rows. I want output to be on my cell L2, and to click on OK, and this is what we have received now. So p-value is less than 0.05. This denotes that we have a statistical difference between between the group, the source of variation is between the group. We have the means are very varied, but within the group we do not have any such values. What do I mean by within the group? Let's say you have 20,000 entries in your entire Excel file. Now what is going to be the implication if you're going to choose, let's say, the first 5,000 and whatnot? That would be within the group. Between the group is as in between median income and median house yield. So we just walk around with this mostly, and we have other things here that we can mention, that is count, sum, average and variance here as well. So this is how we're actually going to run a data analysis and then going to Anova. If you're going to go with two-factor replication, you can click on OK, and then you can give the inputs of what exactly do you want to run, and you need to tell here how many rows do we have on per sample basis, right? And the other thing is two-factor without replication, and here we just have to give the entire series together, and it can be more than one factor to combine in person. So we can run that. It's the same way. I'm not going to run the other two because I want you to run these two, because it's just almost 95% of the entire process is very similar to how I ran the first test. Although once you have it, you should actually put all of them one over the other and see how much you're going to have that impact. Now why are we actually comparing the means, or let's say difference between the means? This is actually very helpful in terms of understanding how factors are being impacted using a certain terminology. So what do I mean by a terminology? It can be anything in terms of maybe you're going to college, what will happen to your speed, to the time that you take from your house to the college. If the weather is very sunny, what will happen if it is very windy, what will happen if it is very normal, and what will happen if it is very rainy? You might not go, right? So all of these are the factors which are going to impact the average duration that you're going to take. Now we might have multiple entries, and in that particular scenario we're going to choose Anova. When we have multiple entries of a certain observation, then we are actually going to use Anova and see if there's a difference between the mean, right? So that we can know that, okay, on average this is how the data is moving based on this one factor. So that would be it from my end. If you have any doubt, you can always contact me. I would love to help all of you. Thank you everyone for joining.